Welcome to the
Okay.
Mixed Dandelions podcast, where we talk about being mixed,
Hey.
military, and more. And today I have Athens on. How do you say your last name? Is it Pellegrino?
Yep, you got it.
Okay, great. So she is an author, military spouse, and then also the 2023 Armed Forces Insurance Military Spouse of the Year. So congratulations with that.
Thanks.
Of course. So let's just I guess let's just kind of get started on your affiliation with the military. Yeah, and then which branch is it?
Okay, yeah. So my husband, he is active duty Air Force, and I work for the Air Force as well, but as a
Oh,
civilian. And we've been married for about 12 years. We've moved 9 times, and most recently we just moved to Okinawa, Japan.
my
So
favorite place.
yeah, it's not bad. It is not bad. That plane ride is rough with some kids. But
Yes.
yeah, so just navigating military life and everything like that. And I'm a mom of three. I have a 4-year-old, a soon to be 3-year-old, and
Oh,
my
wow.
daughter Ella just turned 1 as well. So they keep me pretty busy as well. And we just love traveling, and the military obviously allows for that with being stationed all
Mm-hmm.
over the world and everything. And I don't know, I've grown so accustomed to military life now that I can't imagine when he retires what it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
like eventually. But yeah, we love it. We love the lifestyle. We love being able to move and, just like completely different environments each move, and meeting new people and becoming close friends with them. And I feel like I have friends all over the world, which I love.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Mhm.
Did you have any affiliation with the Air Force or with any branch of the military before you met your husband?
No, no, I met my husband actually when we were in college, and he was in
Okay,
ROTC, but I didn't even know really what ROTC was or anything. So completely new to this lifestyle.
that's great. Did you have any expectations, or like what did you think when you guys, got married and started living that Air Force life?
I guess I really didn't have any expectations because, like, I didn't even really growing up and going to school, we didn't have military kids in my
Okay.
school. I grew up in a very, very small town in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's a tourist town too. Like, I think my graduating class, I maybe had like 300 people. So it's pretty small. But anyway, yeah, so I didn't really have any expectations, but I definitely learned when we first got married and I moved down to Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and didn't know a soul. It was a rough integration initially into the lifestyle and everything. And as years went on, obviously you learn how to adapt and you learn different skills and everything like that. So it's gotten easier. But I just want to make sure that my kids and other military kids as well learn these skills that will help with the lifestyle.
It is hard. I remember growing up, my dad was in for 30 years in the Air Force. And so
Oh wow.
we moved every 2 or 4 years. We were in
Yeah.
Illinois twice, we were in North Carolina, we were in Okinawa twice, we were in England
Mm,
once, and he ended up
okay.
retiring in Arizona. And then he actually one of the jobs he did in the Air Force became a civilian job. And so then he ended up doing that. So we
Oh,
make
that's nice.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
we make fun that he retired twice from the same job.
Yeah.
So, because and it is weird, and like you were talking about that, like, yeah, like a transition after your husband gets out of the military, like what that's gonna be
Yeah.
like. And I know for me, like I was a dependent. He got out at when I was 19, like right before I turned 19, and like it was tough. It was really, really
Yeah.
tough. And I mean, and back then we didn't have a lot of the resources I think that people have now. And so I'm not sure what it was like for my mom, because again, like she met him in Okinawa and she met him while he was
Oh
in the Air
wow.
Force. He was like a E2 or something, E3. But and then she's Japanese, so then that like new culture, new country, new language, everything. But like me
Oh
seeing
man,
her,
yeah.
yeah, grow, like as I was growing up and seeing everything that she did, and we had 5 kids. So like I can't imagine like the help that I think like people like what you're doing, and with Bloom, with the military kids, and
Hmm.
it's great to finally see things like coming out to help
Yeah.
spouses, and to because I feel like spouses and dependents, they kind of, when me growing up, we got the raw end of the deal.
Oh
So
yeah,
but
yeah. It still
now,
feels like that at times too, though.
yes, I'm sure, but like now there's a little more, attention, and so I think that that's great. And so I'm glad. Yeah. And I see here, so like we mentioned the spouse of the year. You had, it says, at least on this last profile that I saw of you online, 12 deployments. You guys have gone through 9 PCS, military spouse for about 13 years. So that, I mean, the deployments are just going to get more and more. And how do you kind of deal with that, especially with the young kids?
So since we've had the 3, he hasn't deployed yet, but he's been going TDY on trips that are like a month here, a month there. And it's definitely different with kids. I'll admit the majority of deployments prior was before we had kids. And that's one of the reasons why we put off having them until later in his career. But it's rough. Like weekends are exhausting, keeping them entertained, and just even like being over here, like I have to thoroughly research what we're doing, translate, and make sure that's kid friendly, and figure out like where to park and stuff. So it's definitely a different beast than being in the States, where you just automatically up and know where to go, or like you can easily ask for directions and everything like that. And it's different. My kids, I think because they're still pretty young too, they're not too bad. My 4-year-old Atticus, he'll pick up on like Chris being gone and everything like that. But we have the little daddy dolls, so he'll bring his little doll around with him everywhere. Yeah, they're on our couch right now, but he'll bring that doll around with him everywhere. And luckily, like nowadays, they have the ability to be able to FaceTime and stuff like that. Like I remember like Chris's very first deployment, he had like a puck and had to wait in line to be able to call, and could only like call for like about like 10 minutes, and then the phone lines would shut off. So it's completely different now, completely.
Yeah, I don't remember talking to my dad very much when he would do TDY. And the higher in rank he got, the longer he'd be gone. So like, it would be like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And it was crazy because I remember when he was an E9, I think when he had just made E9, like we almost got used to him being gone more than him being there, which was kind of a weird thing. And and I remember too, like you're kind of like, I don't know how to put this. So I have a master's in sociology, and like my original research topic, I had to change it though, because there just wasn't very much out there. Information was the military spouse and the changing roles of the military spouse with the deployments and, the TDY and everything like that, because you're essentially going from a 2-parent household to a 1-parent household when you have deployments. And then, and also like, it can be anywhere from a few days to a few months or longer. And so people like you who you're now, that role changes, and then it immediately changes again when your spouse comes home. Like how do you how do you guys deal with those changes?
I mean, we just roll with the punches, kind of. Like for example, my husband was gone for a month last month. Then last week he was home for 4 days and then just left again. So I had the kids on a really good routine and everything. He came home and obviously like he knew he was going to be leaving again. So we broke the routine. So now I got to start back all over again, like make sure that they're listening to me, especially because like he's more of the disciplinarian of the household. So so I'm like, no, guys, really, I'm in charge. Like, you have to pay attention, listen to me now. So it's tough. Like with the kids, the thing that I mostly try to do though is consistency. So like, even though he was home those 4 days, I still kept them in their school schedule, homework routines, and any like extracurriculars like karate or swimming, made sure that they still attended those things. And unfortunately, it was like less time that they were able to spend with them. But at the same time too, I think having that structure and just like little things like, knowing that they're going to see their friends at school daily and their teachers, like that stability, I think makes things like less scary for them, and overall just will help them in the long term adapt to situations that are always changing when it comes to the military.
Do you guys usually live on base or off base?
So we've always lived off base, actually.
Okay.
This was interesting. This one was very interesting because the way that Kadena did it, I guess it's like if they have a home available when you show up, depending on like the occupancy rate, you are forced to live on base. So with us, we were a little delayed getting out here because I just had my baby, and then I actually had to finish up. I just had my baby, and I was finishing up a leadership course for work, so we had to like push our date out a little bit. So just the timing of it, like there wasn't anything available. But we actually really like living off base because like I'm big into, I like walking around and just like exploring and everything. And yeah, like the kids, they go to school off base. I'm able to walk them to
Oh,
and
okay.
from school every day, which I just love being able to do that because I never was able to do that before. And we have restaurants walking distance, and it also puts us in scenarios where like we're making friends with locals and stuff. And then if we lived on base, we probably wouldn't have as many opportunities to do so.
Are your kids learning Japanese then?
They are, yeah, yeah. They know more than me, so I'm like, oh boy, I gotta learn, gotta learn.
Pretty soon they're going to be talking amongst each other in Japanese. I wouldn't doubt that.
But, yeah.
I know.
Probably
Kadena
about
is,
me.
I know, exactly. Yeah, Kadena, I remember we were my dad originally was stationed on Kadena, so like he worked on Kadena and everything, but they didn't have E9 housing when we moved there. So then we ended up moving to living in Camp Foster, the Marine Corps base.
Yeah.
In the Foster Towers. So like I went to Kubasaki High School
I know
instead of Kadena.
Oh my god.
So it was
so
weird.
cool.
It was a little weird because I mean I was Air Force, and so I was now going to school and around like Marines and Marine kids and like Navy kids. So it was different. But like I would still go to Kadena. And last time, so like you were talking about like traveling with the little ones to Okinawa. I remember I took my 4-year-old daughter. It was just her and I, and yeah, she was 4, she's 13 now, but like that was tough, and it was just one kid, so I can't imagine. But I remember she like threw up an hour before we landed.
Of course. Yeah.
I was just like, oh my gosh. And then they were like, well, we have to hurry up because we're going to have to start getting ready. So we were like trying to like clean it up and put blankets and everything. So I can't imagine how you did it with 3, like under 5.
It was
like,
tough. Yeah.
That is just, that's insane. But no, Okinawa, like I said, like that's my favorite place. I mean, I have family there, and it's just such a great place. So it's so great that you guys are able to be stationed there. But there's just, there's a lot to do, the culture. And so what other countries?
Very family friendly.
It is. And it's safe. And like you were talking about walking around, like go walk to the beach. And there's always everything, stores, convenience stores, and restaurants, fast food or sit down. And there's just always something. So
so we live like on the seawall right down that area. I don't know
Chatan?
if it was Chatan, but there's a like Coffee Casa, the school Santa Monica. I don't know if that was there when you were
probably
living
not.
back here.
It's changed so
probably
much.
Not. It's so new. But so we walk down to the seawall all the time, and there's restaurants like right there and everything. And like, it's nice. I mean, obviously, like I still have like my awareness and everything like that, but it's just nice being able to see like kids play outside and, certain things like in the States that like, unfortunately you're not seeing as much lately because of like crime and everything like that. But like, you'll see like the little Okinawan children walking like to and from school by themselves, and they're like 5 years old, and it's just so cute. Like,
I know. My daughter's like, when are we going back? We need to go back. I was like, I know, but that's an expensive trip.
It is. It's expensive and long. Like,
it is.
My dad's actually coming on Thursday because since my husband, he had to go TDY in the States. He's going to meet my dad in LA and then fly with him back. So it'll be like less scary for him and stuff and everything like that. And I don't envy that flight at all. Like, I don't think I'll be doing it until we leave. So
it's crazy. Last time we went, we did the I forgot what the airline. It was a Taiwanese airline, but they had gotten EVA Airlines, and they went on, their international flight attendants went on strike 2 days before we were supposed to fly out. It was so crazy. But we ended up being able to, get the refund and get rescheduled. And it sort of actually worked out better because we had to stay an extra day. The hotel was very accommodating. And then
that's good.
we ended up flying out Delta. So we were able to do our layover in Haneda. And then it was a shorter layover because we would have had like a 9-hour layover in Taiwan.
It's so, Taiwan, though, like I do feel is a lot easier to fly through than Haneda, but like, I don't know.
It was weird though, because I had never been through Haneda. I'd every time we'd like fly over there, it was through Narita. So it was my first time in Haneda. I was like, it was a really cool airport. But yes. Let's see. So what other countries have you guys been to?
So since living here, we went to Thailand a couple months ago. And obviously still in Japan, everything like that. We're doing Ishigaki in 2 weekends from now. And we were stationed in England before, but this was before we had kids and everything. So anytime we had a long weekend, we just traveled Europe and made the most of it, and kind of pretty much went all over Europe, and also did like Morocco and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, we love traveling. So whenever we get the opportunity to, we try to jump on it. But as you know, with our schedules and everything, it can be pretty difficult having those dates match up.
So where in England were you guys stationed at?
So the base is called, well, Chris worked at Mildenhall. I worked at Lakenheath. And we lived in
Okay.
Bury St. Edmunds. Yeah. Is that where
Okay.
you were when you were
We
there?
were at Lakenheath. And so like
Okay.
I went to
Yeah.
school in Feltwell for that was 6th grade. And then I went to Lakenheath Elementary. My oldest sisters went to Lakenheath High School. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's fun. We were there in the 80s. So like it's funny because we weren't able to donate blood, and then they just changed that because we're like, oh, we lived in England. So it was when the mad cow disease was going on, but then they just
Oh, my
changed it. So
goodness.
we could, and that's something weird too, like with military people, is that like depending on where you live, like yeah, like things like donating blood because everybody thought it was weird. They're like, why can't you donate blood? I'm like, I lived in England. Or like something my husband and I do is we talk about like commercials. He's really good at remembering like old commercials and jingles. And I'm like, I don't know, when did that commercial come out? Because if it was between, 85 and 89, I lived in England. We had like one TV station.
Yes. It's okay. So it's still kind of like that. Like I would just like literally just watch like the same shows like Hollyoaks and like Made in Chelsea, and that was like it. But like I remember like the Sainsbury commercials and stuff like that. And yeah, but that was my favorite base. Like we're really hoping to be able to go back there one day, just to be able to like have the kids experience it. Like I was crying the day that we left there, like the airport. It's so hard.
It is. It's a great place. I liked it. Like I remember, because that's kind of, we were in North Carolina before that, but like I remember England, and I remember like we would travel, and my brother did gymnastics with it was a gymnastics club on base. And but it was really fun. Like we would travel to the different bases and the different schools, and then we would just like, the only thing, we didn't go like too far north because we lived in Norfolk, I think. And
neither
so
did we actually.
Yeah. So like I would love to like visit like Wales or Scotland or something while we're there. But no, like in Europe, it's so easy too, because like we did our honeymoon in Europe, and I was like, no, we have to go to England, like at least for a few of the days. And so, and then we just hopped the plane over and then took the Eurail everywhere. So like, and
like
that's
right there.
Yes. And again, like that's one of the great things about like that military life, is it gives you those opportunities to do that.
Exactly. Because that's how we felt like with Thailand too. People were like, are you nuts? You're going to bring 3 little kids there? And I'm just like, look, when we're on this side of the world, we're going, because when we're in the States, I'm not doing that flight. Like, so we're taking advantage now and doing it, because I don't know, like I might not ever have the opportunity to go there again. So I like it because it just pushes you to like be out of your element and to explore.
Yeah, I'd probably think you were a little crazy too for taking 3 kids under 5, but you're right. Like you have to take, I mean, this is one of those great things.
Yeah.
So you also
like they're starting to get better. They're starting to get like better at like traveling and stuff too. So that makes it easier. But I think the more that we do it, obviously
they're going to be experts.
I hope.
Yeah. So you've also got a career, like a full-time career, which is insane. So you started that after your husband got married?
Yes. So originally I actually worked for the private sector. I worked for Aramark. I don't know if you heard that company, but yeah. So anyway, I worked with them. I did the transfer when we initially got married down in Florida. But then once I found out that we're going to be moving so frequently, I guess that was a surprise. I didn't know that you'd move every like 2 to 4 years.
Really?
Yeah. I was just like, I got to find a career that's going to jive with this lifestyle, that like I'll be able to like transfer and everything like that. So at the time I was going to school for my MBA, and I learned about like a master's in public administration and how like that would help out in the government and everything like that. So I actually switched over and to the MPA. And then from there, it took a while to get into the federal system. I'm not gonna lie, especially in that area where a lot of people retire.
Yes.
I think it took me like close to 2 years to get in. So after I got in, I was just like, all right, I'm going to make the most of this and like try to stick with it as long as I can and everything like that, because we end up like in some remote places like that you wouldn't really be able to get a job unless you are
Right.
federal. So yeah, so with that, I've had a pretty diverse background with that too, just depending on the positions that were available. But ultimately, I ended up in budget, so part of finance and everything like that. But right now, actually, I'm looking to transition out of budget into something like more of a social kind of role, because I really like my volunteer work and everything like that. So I want to be in a position where I can either help like inbound spouses find employment, or just even like how they have like events on base and everything like that, with helping plan them, just something where I feel like I'm giving back more. So I'm looking to do that transition now, which has been a little bit difficult because there's not a lot of positions open, obviously,
Right.
in Okinawa.
So that's like, I remember too, yeah, growing up, like military spouses having those full-time careers was almost unheard of.
Yeah, it
So,
still is. Yeah,
oh,
which is
really?
unfortunate because, yeah, because I know so many talented people, like even like out here, for example, like I know people that are like, that had like careers as nurses and stuff, and there's just no positions. And for teaching, just to be a substitute teacher out here, it's like a 6-month wait list.
Oh,
Like, because they
wow,
have to get your
really?
back, yeah, they have to get your background check sent to the States. And I'm just like, why
Oh,
can't you do the background
wow.
check here? Like, so it's just very difficult. And I think some people like they get really beaten down, and like they just are like, this isn't worth it. Like, or at the same time too, I'm seeing with a lot of people out here, typically if you work for the private sector, you make more than you would working for the federal. So you would take like a significant pay decrease, where they're like, you know, right now I want to focus on my family and traveling. Like, so yeah, it's difficult. And I think especially too, when you go down to being like the single member parent at home, when your spouse is traveling and stuff like that, it gets even more like, how am I going to do this? So unfortunately, I feel like the odds definitely are kind of against military spouses to be employed. But that's one thing that I always try to preach too. And that's another reason why I began writing, is that if you can find a portable career and be your own business owner, like that definitely helps with the lifestyle. Definitely.
So is there much, I guess, offered to military spouses within that military community to help with things like their career, or even just like part-time work or something like that?
Right. So I have seen a good amount of part-time positions, but again, too, like it's just difficult. I guess it depends. Like stateside, it's not as bad, but definitely like overseas, it's tough because you're competing, especially like in Okinawa. There's so many bases. Like there's the Marine ones, Navy. I think there's even some coasties out here and stuff like that too. But like it's just, there's people also from the States that want to come over here, so they're applying for those jobs if they have a job lined up. It's just really difficult. So I mean, they do on base, like I've noticed that they've had like resume writing workshops and stuff like that, but
Right.
that will only get you so far. And that's another thing too, where I have friends, because I've been in the federal system for about 12 years, almost as long as we were married. So luckily, like I have like that permanent party status. So it's not as hard for me to get placed into a position as it would from someone just coming into it. Because a lot of these positions, like they say, like you have to have the experience or specialized skills. And it's like, if you haven't worked it, then how are you going to have those skills or experience? Like you got to give
Yeah.
someone a chance at some point in time. Like, so that's definitely something that I would like to see changed. And I always try to like help my friends out with like taking a look at their resumes and prepping them for interviews and stuff like that. But unfortunately, especially out here, a lot of them don't even make it to the interview stage because it's just
Oh,
so
wow.
crazy. So yeah.
So what do you hope, I guess in the future, is there anything that you hope to see differently, maybe to help with that stuff?
Yeah. So definitely well, I'll say when I get into a position like that, because I'm going to keep trying. Um, I'll still do the resume workshops, a lot of interview prep. I also want to teach like spouses like other areas to look for employment. Like you don't have, for example, I have a few friends out here that work for Navy Federal, like the bank. And I would have never thought to do that, but like every military base has a bank, so they're able to transfer around too. But I just think that there are some opportunities out there, obviously, that a lot of spouses aren't aware of. So I would like to bring light to those. And also too, I think it's important to have like workshops or just classes too, to teach them how to be their own business owner, like how to set up an LLC, how to get their EIN, like how they would file their taxes for it, stuff like that. Cause that could be very overwhelming too. Like when I started writing books, I didn't know anyone else that did it. So my first book, it was a lot of learning through like trial and error for sure. But like now I'm more confident in doing it and everything like that, that actually tomorrow I'm releasing my fourth one. So, I think just having those networking opportunities available, or even just like networking events, like,
Yeah.
hey, you're interested in this, like, here's a person that's in that field, or they know somebody else, that could help greatly. And I think the bases do a good job of it, but like, it's difficult because everything changes, situations change. And a lot of times too, the people that are in these positions to be planning these events and stuff like that, they've had the same job for like 10, 15 years. So they don't know what it's like to be searching and everything like that. So I think just bringing in some fresh opinions and just letting spouses know of the opportunities that are available and networking will make a difference.
I think too, the job market changes, right? And like what
Yeah,
skills are being
absolutely.
valued and what kinds of jobs are available or what employers are looking for, things like that. So I think, and then that even like things like that would even help with that transition out of the military and like those
Yeah.
spouses, because then they now, yes, like you're going to be a little more stationed. You're not going to have to deal with those TDYs and deployments and moving around every 2 or
Yes.
3, 4 years. So those are all like, I mean, that's kind of like a long term. You've got that short term,
Yeah.
but then it's also something take advantage and take that long term as well. So those
And I
are
think that
great.
that's like a thing too that makes it difficult for spouses with employment. It's like a lot of times, like if your service member is going to be gone for 6 months, they feel like, I'm not staying here by myself. Like I want to go back home. How do you do that if you're working? Like you can't do
Yeah.
that. So like when I was in England, I didn't go home for the 3 years because I only had 2 weeks of vacation time. So I had to balance like traveling and working against
Right.
going back to the States. So these are just all things that, again, and that's why I also think like if you could be your own business owner and be able to take your career with you, that makes a huge difference. And it'll allow you to be able to do things more on your timeline than at the mercy of someone else. So.
Or even childcare. I mean, when you're that one person, again, like childcare is probably the biggest issue in trying to figure out, okay, well, while I'm doing this, like who's going to watch my kids? And I think that's why some women do end up going home, because they need that help with the childcare, especially when it's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7 months. So that's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
But you mentioned your book. So it's now a series, right? The Military Child Chronicles. So congratulations with that. So I guess
Thank you.
What made you do it? Like, how did that get started?
Yeah. So it was really random. I never in a million years would have thought that I would be writing children's books. I don't know. But so it was during the pandemic, actually, like when it was at its height. We were in Alabama and my son's preschool was closed down. We weren't able to physically go to the offices or anything like that. So we were all home. And even just like things like going to the library and stuff, like we couldn't do. Like everything was very, very, very strict lockdown there. So we got notification that we were going to be moving to Florida, but we didn't have like the definite like timeline or anything like that. But I wanted to start prepping for the move and to get Atticus ready so that like he wouldn't be completely scared. Like, why am I not going back to my old school? Because his school unfortunately never reopened by the time it was time for us to move and stuff like that. And just like everything that he knew, like his school, his swim lessons, like all that came to halt. So I was trying to keep him busy by just like reading books to him constantly and everything like that. And I couldn't really find a book that was based on like a permanent change station PCS, especially like geared toward children. So at that point, I was just like, let me make up like a hypothetical kind of story about him and he'll think it's like cool and interesting and everything like that. And he liked it. And then I told my parents about it and I told a couple close friends about it and everything like that. They were just like, no, that would have been really helpful to have. Like, you should do something. So at this point, I'm just like, all right, how on earth do I do this? Like, so, but luckily I have the time to look up how to do it and everything.
I know.
So, yeah, I began like researching and reaching out to other children's authors and everything like that on social media to like meet with them and pick their brain on how to do it, the process and everything like that, how to decide if I wanted to self-publish or try to get picked up by a traditional publisher and everything. And I decided to go the self-publishing route because I wanted to be able to control my product, and I wanted to be able to hire my own illustrator, do my own marketing. Like, I kind of felt like the integrity would be compromised if somebody else was doing it. So at that point, like my friend Danielle, actually, she introduced me to her friend Cody, and she knew he was like really good at drawing and everything like that. So that's when he became my illustrator, and like we just worked really well together. Our personalities meshed really well.
That's good.
So yeah, thank God. Yeah. So at that point, like I got everything together as best as I could. My undergrad's marketing, so I developed like a marketing plan of how I want to be able to distribute it and everything like that. And then I just like pulled the trigger, and definitely there were like hiccups along the way, mistakes that I learned the hard way, and also like monetarily at times and stuff like that too, that by the time like I got ready for our second book, like it definitely, I understood the process more. And with this third one, like this one has had its own set of challenges, obviously, with like having the newborn, moving over here and everything like that, but also the time zone, and everyone that I'm working with is like stateside. So that gets in the morning. I'm getting the kids ready for school when like they're getting settled and stuff like that. So this one's definitely, it's taking more time to get put together, but I am so excited to launch it. Like the illustrations are beautiful with it. I also have like an index of Japanese to English and everything like that for like some of the phrases that we were using, stuff like that. And just even like explaining like what certain foods are that they're eating in the book. And I'm really excited. I cannot wait to launch this one.
That's great. No, and I think that like that's awesome that you did decide to do the self-publishing, because like you were said, like, you know, things might have gotten a little compromised or something. You have more control. I feel like sometimes too, like people, unless you've been part of this military community and truly understand it, like the changes that may have, like, you know, the editing, like, but like you as a military, you know, you're a mother, you're a spouse, like you're in there, you know. And so, yeah, you don't want that compromise, because this book is going to be read by, you know, other military parents and children.
Exactly.
And it's got to relate to them, like exactly and perfectly. And I think like, yes, like,
yes.
If I think, yes. So I'm like, I'm trying to like put into words and I can't like, but so that's so great that, yes, that you did end up doing that. So, and then, in Okinawa, like I think with the traveling, there's so much. I wish I had a copy. I don't have a hard copy of the book. I only have it on my Kindle, so I can show the pictures. But oh my gosh, you're frozen on my screen, and it's like the best.
Oh, that's 1 second. Can you see me now? Oh,
yes.
Wait, what I do? My husband was calling, and I didn't want to hit anything.
That's fine.
So I was like, I'll lose her.
No, it was like the best face. I was just like,
oh gosh.
But but like, and with the traveling, like I read the Christmas one, which was so cute, and I was like, oh yeah, like when I read these books, I love that there's more books now. Like I can't, like, because when I was growing up in the military, we had nothing, like there was nothing like this. And so I love that, like, and it helps them realize that, you know, this is your normal and that's okay. And this is, you know, and although sometimes, you know, there's some negative things and things that make you sad or mad, which is okay to feel that way, like there's so many more positive things as well, which can sometimes, you know, be difficult to realize, because if you're dwelling on these negative things or something. And so I love these books that, like, it's so fun. And then I'm sure your kids are excited about like seeing themselves in them.
yeah. Especially now, like Atticus is like, hey, it's my book. I'm like, oh, excuse me.
That's so
but just
cute.
Even like little things like at the bottom of certain pages, like I have like the family activities, and I did that again with this book as well, with Mission My Overseas PCS. And it's just like fun, like especially with the Christmas one, like create like a neighborhood cookie swap, just things to do to just like bond more, and to have an activity that you can do as a family where you're communicating and you're talking about like the hardships and everything too. Because like I noticed especially with Atticus, like he just switched schools. Actually, he went to a school that was closer to Foster, and he just switched to one that's closer to the house now. And like I had to do activities like to pick his brain to see how he even liked school and how he was adjusting and stuff like that. Because I think he would have just like remained quiet about it and just been like, this is what I have to do now. And, you know, that's kind of like the mentality that you also get with the military, where you're just like, I don't get a choice on what I'm doing. Like, I have to move here. I have to live here. Like,
right.
So I think that kids definitely can pick up on that as well, because they see that their parents are doing it and they're not talking about things. So it's very important for us all to interact and just make sure that like we're on the same page, or if you're having a problem, let's talk through it. Let's come up with some solutions and everything. So.
That's great. So what is this new book about? Like
so this new book's actually, it's Mission My Overseas PCS, and it tells pretty much our story of moving over to Okinawa. This time, like obviously the kids have aged throughout the book slightly, but this time, like Callista, Atticus's younger sister, she's having the difficulty because this is like the first move that she's like old enough to know what's going on and everything like that. And she's really scared to like leave the country. And she's never been on an airplane before. Doesn't know if she'll like the food or anything like that. A picky eater, like so.
I know.
Yeah. So this time, like he definitely takes more of the older sibling role and making sure that she's okay and everything as well. And it's just exciting, and like I love it too because it's obviously close to my heart. But like living in Okinawa and having like the seawall featured in it, and like Baba Park, like when the playgrounds that they play at and everything, like it's a memory that we'll have forever. So it's now in a book, so I think that's pretty cool.
That's so great, and it is fun because I remember too, I was looking for books that like featured Okinawa, and because when I was taking my kids over there, like we've gone back twice since my dad. So when my daughter was 4, and then again when she was 11, and I was able to take my husband and my son as well. And it was a big family thing, but like I was trying to find like children's books that even just mentioned Okinawa, and that was hard because a lot of people don't know what, you know, where Okinawa is or what it is. So I think that's
like
too.
We watched like it's whatever, I think it's like the next Karate Kid or something like that. It's like Will Smith's son. And we're like, oh yeah, this is gonna have Okinawa. It was not Okinawa, but like Atticus thought it was, so he was like excited. So we're like, yeah, that's Okinawa, but he's like, can I do karate? We're like, sure. So
I don't know if Okinawa Part 2 or the Karate Kid Part 2 is like child appropriate. The original one. Like I watch
this
it
is where we're going.
Like, people are like, is that what it's really like? I'm like, not really. Like I don't remember people, you know, fighting for their life. But last time we went, like when my husband did come, I was like, okay, we need to go find some castle ruins or run on the beach and play Glory of Love really loud on the speaker. But he was like, no. And then we can like chase each other. And he was like, no.
He's like, pass, hard pass.
I know. He's like, come on, next time.
It will happen.
I know. I'm like, just watch. We're gonna do it. Oh, but I love Okinawa. Yeah, I'm so like I always get so happy when people get stationed there, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna love it. Everybody's gonna love it. There's something there for everybody, and like the kids' parks are amazing there.
Oh my goodness, I was shocked. Like we the first one that we went to, I was just like, how is this? And it's so clean, like just everything. Yeah. Very, very family friendly. So I am happy about that for sure.
The food is great. My son, though, he's a very picky eater. So he ate a lot of the chocolate chip breadsticks that we would get in the store.
Yes. I do too.
There was a lot of those.
Yeah. So luckily their school like cooks like a lot of like rice with vegetables and curries and stuff, so it forces them to try. But I think it works also seeing other kids eating it, whereas if I served at home, they would be like, no, I don't want this, like I want mac and cheese. But so that's cool, so it's expanding their palate that way as well. But yeah, and that's what I get because I was a very picky eater growing up. So
has your oldest that's good. Has Atticus like talked about like the difference in how the schools are, like ever mentioned like things that maybe that they used to do in the States versus what's going on right now in Okinawa? Like, has he mentioned any of that?
Yeah, some of the stuff for sure. Definitely like learning Japanese because he wasn't learning a language stateside or anything like that. And since they're international schools, there's also locals that attend the schools, so that's very cool. Like his friend Haru had like a birthday party and all the kids went to it and everything like that. And it was just so much fun. Like it was down in American Village, and just being
Oh.
able to interact with one another that way. But his schools here, they offer extracurriculars as well. So he does
Oh,
like
wow.
swimming and
Oh,
karate and
wow.
Zumba at school.
Oh,
Yeah, and
Zumba.
as a parent, that's really nice. Yeah, Atticus loves to dance.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, he loves to dance. So yeah, so those things, like he didn't have those opportunities. Like we would take him to swimming and stuff like that individually, but they
Mhm.
would be like weekend events. But like now he
Right.
gets to do it with his classmates and his teachers are there.
Oh,
So
wow. That's
he
great.
loves that. Yeah, he loves that. And then also like he'll talk about the food because before, I mean, I guess I feel like his school in the States did try to like get some ethnic foods in there and everything like that. But here certainly like, and a lot of it's like stuff that I wouldn't even know how to cook. So
Mhm.
he's trying that now. And he likes traveling. Like for his birthday, like I
Oh,
asked him, I was just like, what do you want to do? Like, do you want a birthday party? He's like, I just want to go to Tokyo. So we're gonna plan out like a Tokyo trip for like the long weekend after his birthday, Columbus weekend. And I think that those differences, and since so many people move in and out here since it's so heavily military, like he's always like talking about like how there's a new kid in his class and
mhm.
how they're his friend now or she's his friend now. So
Oh.
just those things. And like I tell him, like always greet the new kid, like introduce
Mhm.
yourself, invite them to have lunch with you and all that. So I think he's adapting very well.
It's funny how many, 5-year-olds ask to go to Tokyo for their birthdays.
I'm like, that's good. Okay, you don't want a birthday party at the playground with pizza? No, you want Tokyo. Fine.
But those are great traits. I mean, I guess let's talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit, like the traits and characteristics that these kids are going to grow up with. And like, yeah, like the kids
Yeah.
coming in and out and like learning how to say goodbye, but then also, greeting those new kids. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess those are things you're probably starting to see with him now, right? Because he is getting to an
Yeah.
age where he's getting like that. So I guess with this life, like what do you, I guess, find, is there anything that you think that you're kind of struggling, like starting to struggle with maybe, or that you're anticipating you might struggle with, and then how do you get through that, or how do you hope to get through it?
Yeah. So far with Atticus, he's definitely gotten less shy. And you also like notice with a lot of military kids, they're not shy. Like they will talk to
Right.
anyone, like even
Mm-hmm.
adults. So
Oh
he's
yeah.
starting to get those skills now for sure. Where like if he sees Chris and I talk to someone, like he'll just interject and come into the conversation like he's an adult,
Mm-hmm.
which is bizarre to watch, but it's cool that he feels comfortable doing that. He has the confidence. So so with him, I'm not too worried yet. With Calissa, she's a bit more shy. She's going to be 3 at the end of the month, actually. So with her, I am a little bit cautious that if she's like reserved, if she has like issues or is experiencing a difficult time, that she might not be as vocal about it, and it might take like longer for her to adjust in different settings, like different schools with different friends and everything like that. But at the same time, too, though, I would say she is also pretty independent for an
Mm-hmm.
almost 3-year-old. So she might not be affected by it. Like she might be like just doing her own thing and not bothered. So kind of hard to see at their ages now, but it's definitely something that I keep an eye on for sure.
She's also the middle child though, right?
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah,
That
yep,
middle child syndrome. I've got it strong. I know it
yeah.
well. I know it well.
I haven't experienced it. Yeah, I'm the youngest, and my husband's the youngest too. So
um,
that's new for us as well.
Yep, nope, I know it well. Well, so what do you hope this military life will give to your children? Like when they get older, what do you, I guess, hope that they might say or
Overall, I hope it teaches them to be good people. You know, definitely to have confidence and to reach out to others that might be struggling and making sure that they feel okay and comfortable and everything like that. I want them to also like give back to society too, like how I said before, like if you see like a kid struggling and it's their first day at a new school or whatever, reach out to that kid. You've been there before, you know what that
mm-hmm.
feels like. And just to be empathetic people and everything like that. And I want them to have confidence and to travel the world and see new things and experience new cultures and try new activities and everything like that. And I definitely think that the military lifestyle accommodates to those needs.
So do you, what about you? Like, what have you gained from this life and being a military spouse?
Yeah. So for me, my life has completely changed from being a military spouse. Like I said, like I grew up in a small town. Like I, everyone that I graduated with, I went to school with like since kindergarten. I never
Mhm.
moved, never moved. First time I moved was at 17 to go to college, and I went to college in Philadelphia, so it wasn't even like that
A
far from
big
New
move.
Jersey, like just like an hour and a half, you know. But it, I've seen and traveled places that I never would have thought I'd go to. I have friends from all different walks of life, different backgrounds, different experiences. And it's like with military, like none of that matters because you're all in the same
Mhm.
situation now. So 5 years ago, how like your life was, it doesn't matter. It's like how you're treating the person now, what you can bring to the table, help one another learn about. And I really, like I said, like I've gotten to the point now that like it's gonna be difficult to imagine life not like this.
Right.
And the friendships that like I have and stuff like that, like I'm friends with spouses that for over 10 years now that like I met when I was like the rookie. I didn't know my way around or anything or how to navigate like through a deployment or anything like that. And they taught me those skills. And we're still friends to this day, even though we all live in different parts of the world and have families and all that. But like thanks to social media, you're able to keep in
Yeah.
contact and everything like that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting when that time comes. It's probably not going to be for a while though. I think we're going to stay in as long as we can. But yeah, I think for me, it's definitely made me more well-rounded. It's made me more confident. It's taught me not to judge people because, like I said, we all come from different walks of life, and
Uh-huh.
like some of my very best friends, I would have never imagined that I would be friends with them. Like we're polar opposites, but at the same time, like we get along well. Like we think
Yeah.
along the same lines. Like it's weird. It's kind of hard dynamic to explain, but it's great.
Yeah. So what kind of advice would you give another like military spouse or military, like a mother that is in the military? What kind of advice would you give somebody?
I definitely would say that there just expect that there's going to be hard times, but there's also going to be a lot of good times. Um, and even though like, and it can be difficult too, like if you're a shy person or you're not really outgoing or anything like that. I always tell people, I'm like, try a spouses organization, like a spouses club out at least like one or two times, go to an event. It's
Mm-hmm.
usually people that attend those are looking to make friends. So you're in a position where you're around a bunch of people at once, or to just do things like if you can, if your schedule allows to like attend the same workout class like weekly to make friends that way. Because I feel like as soon as you set up a community, whether it's just like even like one or two people that you know that you could call if there's an emergency or you can go get lunch with and stuff like that, it starts getting easier. Like when I first moved to Florida and I didn't know a single person, I didn't even know like how do you go out and make a friend? Because I had the same friend group. And like in
Right.
college, like we were all thrown in a situation where we're all in the same dorm. So we became friends that way. Like now it's different. Like I live off base. I don't know, like if there's an emergency, who do I go to? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that definitely like just trying to establish a little bit of a community makes a huge difference, even if it's just like a play group that you're going to consistently where like you're meeting other spouses that way and your kids have friends that they're seeing like on a weekly or
Yeah.
bi-weekly basis makes huge difference and lets you know that you're not alone. And I think once you understand that, then you can cope with the punches and stuff that are going to come your way. Like deployments are going to happen, TDYs are going to happen, things
Right.
are going to break. Like, it's just part of it. So
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
yeah.
I'm glad we were finally able to like
Yes.
figure out the times and
Seriously. Yes. Yes. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And thank
no,
you for putting up with my crazy schedule and of how quickly it changed. So